Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're jumping right into part 8 of our 10-part explainer series, IPv6 security, vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and mitigations. Just as a quick reminder, this whole tutorial comes to us from Virtualization Options LLC. They're a technology research and advisory group out in Colorado. Now, if you're a network engineer or a cybersecurity pro and you know IPv4 like the back of your hand, but you're still kind of trying to wrap your head around IPv6, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're tackling implementation and OS-level vulnerabilities, looking at everything from kernel CVEs to misconfigured containers.
Okay, let's dive into this, because I want to start by asking you a really serious question. Are you absolutely sure IPv6 is turned off on your network? Like 100% sure? Because a massive number of network and security professionals operate under this comfortable little assumption that if they haven't explicitly deployed IPv6, it's just not running. But as we're about to see, that assumption isn't just wrong. It's actually creating a massive, completely invisible threat vector right under our noses.
Just to prove this isn't theoretical, let's talk about Docker. There is a documented CVE for versions 26.0.0 and 26.0.1 where you can explicitly set the IPv6 command flag to false, and Docker basically just says, yeah, no thanks, I'm going to turn it on anyway. This means your containers could be communicating with other hosts on your local network over link local IPv6 addresses. And the kicker? It's happening unintentionally, totally without your awareness, and completely outside your IPv4 firewall protection. The threat is literally already inside the house. So since the protocol is likely already active in your environment, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover unintentional activation, hidden container attack surfaces, logging blind spots, fixing that visibility, first hop security, and finally the NSA training mandate. All right, starting off with Section 1, unintentional IPv6 activation. The hard truth is, IPv6 is on by default across major operating systems, Windows, Mac, Linux, you name it. But you really need to watch out for the hidden attack surfaces. Think about your containers and virtual machines. They might be grabbing IPv6 addresses via Slack, that's stateless address auto-configuration, without you ever knowing. Then you've got your cloud workloads. In AWS, Azure, and GCP, IPv6 is often just enabled by default in standard configurations. And please, do not forget your hardware. Network devices, switches, access points, even the office printer. They usually have IPv6 active right out of the box on factory defaults. You've really got to audit your devices, because these interfaces are active right now.
Moving right along to Section 2, hidden container attack surfaces.
Running two protocols means you literally have two completely separate attack surfaces. If a container runtime, like Kubernetes or Docker, unexpectedly enables IPv6, a compromised container can suddenly start listening for incoming connections on an unexpected IPv6 address. Worse, it can open outbound connections to other nodes entirely over IPv6. Since your standard IPv4 firewalls are totally blind to this traffic, that rogue container is essentially unconstrained. This is a huge deal. It dramatically increases your exposure to data exfiltration and DOS attacks. You've basically got a shadow network operating underneath all your carefully planned security controls.
Which perfectly leads us into Section 3, link local logging blind spots. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is that to understand the threat, we have to look at where these local attacks actually happen silently. For the IPv4 engineers listening, the link local space, specifically the FE80/10 block, is mandatory in IPv6. It's the address range used purely for communication on a single local network segment. But because it's so foundational, this exact space is the playground for devastating local attacks, like Neighbor Discovery Protocol, or NDP, and router advertisement spoofing.
And here is the genuinely terrifying part: the visibility gap. In an IPv4 world, you're pretty comfortable, right? Standard flows are captured in your firewall and router logs by default. You see what's happening. But with IPv6, even if you have devices that explicitly support IPv6 logging, that link local FE80/10 traffic is almost never logged. An attacker could be actively executing RA spoofing or duplicate address detection attacks on your local segment, and it will generate absolutely zero telemetry. Nothing. You're left with this massive blind spot for forensic investigations, meaning an entire IPv6 incident could be completely undetectable. So we need to fix that. Section 4, fixing the visibility gap. Closing this gap has to be an immediate operational duty for your team. Here are the steps. First, verify that your logging configurations explicitly include IPv6. Don't just assume a log-all rule catches it, because it probably doesn't. Second, you have to generate known IPv6 test traffic on your local link.
Third, go into your systems and confirm with your own eyes that your specific test traffic actually shows up in those logs. And finally, update your log retention policies and make sure your CM pipelines are actually parsing those IPv6 fields correctly. If you don't test it, you don't have it. Once you actually have visibility, it's time for structural enforcement. Section 5, First Hop Security Defenses. Let's map out exactly how this works, because First Hop Security, or FHS, is basically your localized armor against these threats. First up, we have RA Guard. Think of this as your bouncer. It blocks rogue router advertisement messages coming from non-router ports, neutralizing SLAC hijacking. Then there's the DHCP v6 Shield. This acts a lot like standard IPv4 DHCP snooping, restricting responses so your clients don't accept poisoned configs from an untrusted server. Next, you combine IPv6 snooping and ND inspection to build a solid binding table of valid address to port mappings. That stops neighbor spoofing cold. Finally, SourceGuard uses that exact same binding table to make absolutely sure hosts can only send traffic from their verified addresses. So the crucial point is this: First Hop Security is absolutely not a perimeter solution. It has to be configured on every single managed switch in your environment. If you leave even one unprotected switch on your network, an attacker can just pivot straight through it, which completely undermines the security of your entire local link. For local defense to work, it has to be 100% comprehensive. And that brings us to our final piece, Section 6, the NSA Training Mandate. The source material makes it really clear. Early phase deployments have the lowest maturity, which means they have the highest risk. And honestly, the root cause of most security failures here is just plain inexperience with the protocol. That's exactly why the NSA explicitly recommends the following. Ensure all network administrators have received proper IPv6 training and education before administering IPv6 networks, not after deployment. Proper education is a prerequisite defense. You can't just treat it like an afterthought to catch up on once the network is already live. Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Knowing that IPv6 is likely already running by default right now on your containers, in your cloud environments, and on your endpoints, is your team actually ready to defend it? If your security tools are completely blind to link local traffic and your switches don't have first hop security turned on, the time to act is literally today. Get out there, audit those devices, generate that test traffic, and get your teams the training they need.